All right, well, welcome to the channel. In this first video in what will become a playlist of the Poseidon X. Way around 210, 215, pushing up these hills. Luckily, got a decent piece of equipment in this bike. If you're not aware or not familiar with, Poseidon X is sold as a gravel bike. A company called Poseidon out of California. The bike weighs in at about 25 pounds. Advertised, I think, is 25 and a quarter. 700C wheels, comes factory with Kenda 700 by 35 gravel tires. 1x10 microshipped AdventX with clutch. As you can see, elected for the flat bar version. Coming from the mountain bike realm, it's what's comfortable, and I'm not quite ready to make those drops yet. But this is their lowest cost bike, direct ship from manufacturer. At the time of purchase 2 months ago was $699. It's also equipped with Tektro mechanical disc brakes, 160 mil rotors front and rear. One thing I do intend to change pretty quickly are those mechanical brakes, at a minimum, going to back to the mountain bike world. Shimano MT200s, they're about $60 on Amazon. I'll have a link down below in the description if something you want to check out. And the only updates I've done are as I'm training for what was supposed to be an 82-mile ride, changing to a 66-mile ride, an event called the Tour de Blast around Mount St. Helens, because as the channel name depicts, PNW, we're in the Pacific Northwest. I have updated the tires to a set of Bontrager 700 by 32 road series tires. A little less rolling resistant, a whole lot quieter on the road. And updated the saddle to a WTB Speed medium. The stock saddle left much to be desired. Hard plastic, as you would imagine, as a stock factory saddle. But I get it. You're never going to please anybody with a saddle. So why increase the cost of the bike by putting one of the thousands available on there? Because face it, there's saddles you like and saddles I like, and they're not going to be the same. But an increase of $50 or so for a set of hydraulic brakes on this would really set this bike apart. It is all aluminum except for the fork. It is a full carbon fork. One of the things I do like is there are 6 bottle cage mounts on this medium. I believe the small has 5. 3 inside the triangle, 1 underneath the triangle, and 1 on either side of the fork. I currently have 4 bottle cages mounted. 1 on each side of the fork, and the 2 lower inside the triangle. On the upper, I have my bike pump because I am a chronic overpacker, and my under the triangle is empty. Also, are 2 bags, a bar bag, and a medium triangle bag. Triangle bag currently houses the phone, and my battery pack, tube, flat repair kit, chain tool, quick links, you know, the basic must-haves. And in the front, I've got some extra electrolyte powder, some almonds, a granola bar, basic nutrition things. Gosh, there's a lot of liquor bottles on the side of the road out here. All right, so it's one of the routes I use for training. Gives me about a 26-mile out and back, 2,600 feet of climbing. Only problem is, as you can see, no shoulder. And there's gonna be plenty of traffic because I'm riding during the home commute. A lot of people be courteous like that last car. They'll cross the line a lot. Man, I could reach out and touch them. Lighten up a little bit here. It's not a race, but a little more about the bike. This bike, sporting a 72-degree head tube, only 425 mil chain stay, so it's really short. It is really closer to a road bike than anything. But this bike, when it comes to gravel, isn't meant for chunky, even single track per se. It's meant for hard gravel paths, walking paths, maybe a shoulder like this over here that just does not do well in the chunk. A couple weeks ago, I did a 55-mile ride, of which 25 of it was gravel. And I found the shortcomings real quick. From what I thought the bike was built for to reality. I will be, after this road ride, swapping out some 42 or 45 mil tires. Just be a little more capable. The nice little T-bucket there. Oh, look at that. Holy cow. The other models being the Ambition X, where they slack the head tube angle, I think 1 degree down to 71 and a half, something like that. And then the Redwood, where it's slacked out, running 650Bs, and has a 440 mil chain stay. All available in both drop and flat bar versions. Let's take a little break here for a second. And whatnot. I am 5'7", 5'8". Have a really short inseam, but this medium frame, I'm able to stand over it. It's not uncomfortable. It's not applying any unwanted pressure in the nether regions, if you will. But 28-inch inseams makes things a challenge because I'm all body, so I need that reach, and sometimes that medium just doesn't do well. But there's going to be some future adventures with this bike. Hopefully a goal by the end of the summer, hopefully Labor Day weekend, is riding the Palouse to Cascade Trail. Be 106 miles from the beginning of the Iron Horse Trail, across Snoqualmie Pass to a little town called Beverly on the Columbia River in the gorge. But 106 miles up and over the pass, over the Cascade Mountains and down into the desert. The goal is to do that in one day. We'll see if it happens or not. Luckily, there's 7 or 8 trailheads that my wife, being the loving woman that she is able to provide support for me. Such as 2 weeks ago, that ride up, that 55-mile ride. Like I said, found the weaknesses. Those 35 mil tires just don't handle the chunk. I ended up having 3 flats in the first 8 miles. Repaired the flats, and then it just wouldn't hold it anymore. And ended up putting a novice mistake, only took 1 tube and ended up putting it in. And my goal was to have the majority of the ride on that gravel. But because of that failure, she met me. She and my dad drove up. They drove about 45 minutes for what took me about 25 miles. And brought me 2 tubes. Unfortunately, the only store in the little town is closed on Saturdays. So they ended up having to give me a ride to the next town, and I just didn't want to backtrack. So I ended up riding pavement the rest of the way home, the final 30 miles. Not to say it was easy, still had a big climb, but it was pavement. So I mentioned 1x10 AdventX, 38 tooth chainring up front, pro wheel crankset, KMC chain, I believe, and then that 11 to 48 tooth 10 speed in the rear, which this isn't my first one. I rebuilt an old 90s bike with the same drivetrain. Love it. I will say that for the $125-ish for the whole group set, getting a clutch derailleur, 48 tooth cassette that shifts like butter. It's accurate, consistent. I love it. Shifts as good, if not better, than my SRAM Eagle. Granted, it's only an NX, but still, that's a $300 group set in comparison. But for a heavy, out of shape guy like me, we're cranking up. One thing's for sure, and I will give this bike this: it is a climbing machine. I was concerned when I ordered I was gonna have to change the front chainring on that 38. My mountain bike has a 50 tooth rear and a 30 up front, and I struggle sometimes on the hills, but this 38 up front is matched well to the weight of the bike, rotational mass with the tires, lightweight wheels. So I will give it that. This is one of the steepest grades on the climb, but best thing about all the climbing is we get to come down it on the way back. We're shooting for about 40 miles today, hopefully in about 3 hours. We'll see if I can do it. About a month ago, I was out here and got bit by a stinking dog. I love dogs, have a dog of my own, but even out in the country, you got a dog, please keep control of your animal. I only say that because I see a dog up here. We'll see what happens. Hey, buddy. Good boy. Good dog. There was some good rest, downhill time. Now we got a couple of hills to climb, get back into the gears. I will say I've only had one problem, which was it a bad component, or was it my fat butt doing stuff that I probably shouldn't have done? I'm gonna go with the components just because it makes me feel better. But 2 weeks after I received the bike, I was riding around our park in the middle of town, a gravel path, and I went over a root, and then I developed a pretty severe click. I could feel it in the pedals, I could hear it. There's still a little bit, but it blew the bottom bracket like 30 miles into owning the bike. Went back and forth with Poseidon, and they were going to send me one. They wanted a video. They wanted me to have a local shop check it out. Not a problem. But I was impatient too. Still have the original pedals. I think I damaged the bearings in them in the left side. But I ended up just buying and replacing the bottom bracket. It didn't look like it had any thread lock or anything, and I could not get it out. It was so tight. I was stripping the teeth on the nut of the bottom bracket. Took it to the local shop, and they were able to use an impact to get it out. But if you want to know, if you want to upgrade the $10, $15 bottom bracket that's in it, something a little better, it is 68 by 110 and a half square taper. The X is the only gravel bike in our lineup using the 68 millimeter shell. The Ambition and the Redwood both use 73s. All right, so here we are, a quick view, and as you can see, I've got some safety lights flashing white in the front, flashing red in the rear, just to make me a little more visible, which I would always suggest if you're going to ride the road. Also, make sure you got a good helmet on. The hardest part of setting this bike up when you receive it is the brakes. So you can see the Tektro brakes here, cable actuated. You have a set screw here that loosens up, and on the inside you can see an in and an out knob there. So what happens is when you twist that in and out, your inside brake pad moves in and out so that you get it close to but not touching your rotor. Once you have that spacing correct, you simply tighten the set screw and it locks that bolt in, and you set your brakes up. Other than that, it is really easy to set up, to get together. All you have to do is put the handlebars on, the wheels on. It comes packed really well. I'm really liking the Rhino walk bags. I will have a link in the description. This one, waterproof, all the goods inside. It's nice plastic, and that beautiful X logo on the inside. This bike did come factory with the tan grips, and when I get those 45mm tires, you betcha, buddy, they're going to be tan walled. That tan wall against this green, I think they call it olive green. I call it like sage, but it will just pop. All right, that's it for the overview at the moment. Now let's get a good look at that AdventX cassette. 135 spacing on the rear, quick release. 100 up front, quick release. They do have, for I think it's like an additional $150 or $200, a through axle kit to replace the dropouts and a different fork with through axles, different wheels. For the way I'm using it, I really didn't feel that that was super important. Mama's gonna be mad at that one. What did I say, Mama? I mean my wife. She doesn't like me going fast. I'm sure she's looking at Strava going, Michael. Alright, so here's the inside passage of Fisher Island on the Columbia. Up there, it's a little hazy today, but it's Mount St. Helens. So let's talk about the Poseidon X. Who it's for, what it's for. Do I think this is a chunky gravel bike? Absolutely not. Do I think it's a great mixed surface? Light gravel, tarmac, pavement, chip seal, fill in the blank? Absolutely. I think it's a great entry point. It's going to start getting better than Walmart bike, our other big box bike, direct to consumer, so it saves you a little bit of money. Quality components for the most part, and like I said earlier, just about $700. Ready to ride out of the box, ready to go. I think it'd be a great bike packing bike. It's geared well. The 35mm tires aren't bad. A lot of mounting points, like I said, 6 bottle cages, mounts, plus it's got a rack mount on the rear, so you can load this thing up with about anything that you want. So we're just going to finish out the ride, and see you next time. Now, what kind of a gravel bike review would this be if I didn't ride any gravel? So here we go, everybody. Here's some gravel. Exactly what this bike was made for. No, no worries. No. Oh yeah, dog, let's go. Until then, happy trails, and if you stuck around this long, if you wanted to give a thumbs up, a like, a subscribe, and hopefully we bring you some quality content that has some value to you that you can learn from. Till next time, If you're out in the Pacific Northwest, maybe we'll see you on the trail.